All right, welcome to each of you this evening, and congratulations for being on the call, and congratulations especially for hanging in there through a little technical glitch, but we are live, and we're excited about this evening. This is an unprecedented journey to support you as you discover your own yes energy, even when technology is saying, maybe not so fast, and really learning about this equation to do more, to do less and make more. That's the whole key here. So we are, of course, talking about Laurel Langmeyer's latest bestseller, her fifth bestseller, in fact, and we are on week 4 of an 8-week journey for many of you, and for a special group of you, it's week 4 of a 12-week process toward your certification as a Yes Energy coach. But tonight we're going to be covering a lot of territory to include confidence, uncertainty, faith, and dreams, among other things. This is the material covered in chapters 7 through 9. So right now you want to grab yourself a pen and paper. Always want to be an active player in your own learning, and especially so when Laurel is in the house, and she is in the house in a big way right now. So without further ado, I give you Live Out Loud's founder and CEO and the author of Yes Energy, The Equation to Do Less, Make More, the one and only Laurel Langmeyer.
Thank you. And so all of you, here we are at the halfway mark, and the question is, are you living more Yes Energy? And are you having more awareness every day of that Yes Energy that is available and can come into your life? And we'd love to hear about it. You know, I'm here out live with lots of folks in different conferences and from America to Australia. And when I see you live, you love the book, you love the work, you love what's going on. I want to know specifics, what's changing. You know, where did you start shifting? Where did you notice? Was it about the things you are to do less of every day? Was it the attitude that you need to come forward with every day? I mean, what was the part of the book so far, or the work that we're doing, that is having you start shifting? What's the part where you got absolutely stopped and said, oh my gosh, that's the one thing that if I change that, my entire conversation changes, my relationship with other things in my life change. So please, let's go have these conversations out loud like we do here at Live Out Loud. And let's start really letting us support you. You know, doing this in a very private way is it's interesting. It's helpful. And I want to acknowledge you that you're doing that piece. And I can guarantee that when you come out loud, you're going to, notice that you're not the only one that had the situation. I think that's one of the things we find, especially with a lot of you women. You think, oh, I'm the only one that has this situation. I'm the only one that's had the circumstance. You're not. Folks from all over the world have all sorts of circumstances and situations. And the more you share, the more, you start getting other resources and ideas about how others have gotten through them. Because, again, modeling is a big, big piece of our conversation. So I want to acknowledge you for taking the journey so far. We're on week 4 of Find Your Yes Energy. And, again, findyouryesenergy.com is your website where you can post. The homework is there. If you've missed a call or want to come back and you want to replay a call in your mind and share it with others, please do that. You know, last week we were in an amazing conversation. We were in chapters, 4, 5, and 6, and it was very fun. We were in Australia when we were doing the call, and it was about a new conversation. And as we go into chapter 4, and again, I'm in the Australian book, so we're at page 45, which is a paperback. The more meaning, less chatter. What in the world is everyone talking about? To the chapter 5, changing the rules, having the pie in the sky and eating it, to having it the way you want it to be, and changing the rules because you can. And I love for you to take that on. That's a Yes Energy saying, because I can. And then the flaming tornado, stirring the pot with a burning focus. And so, as we did last week's homework, I want you to think about and reflect on some of the homework. And if you got it done, I'll just review a little bit of it for you tonight before we get into faith, confidence, certainty. And we're going to move into dreams as we move through the next few weeks, because dreams is a big, big chapter. So part 3, where we're going to go through chapters 7, 8, and 9, is part of our lesson tonight, so you can get there as well. And like Don said, take a piece of paper and get with it, and get ready to get really honest with yourself and available. So last week, what did you learn about your past conversations? What did you need to continue to honor today? What Do you need to absolutely give up and just say, you know what, that's a conversation that doesn't serve me? Who is responsible for some of the conversations? And again, not to go into a 7-year therapy session. I said, we're going to get, 7 years of therapy done in about 7 minutes here. And the conversation, was it from friends, family, religious leaders? Like, how did you acquire the conversation? Just to notice how it came about so you have some background and awareness of it. And then, does the conversations conflict with what you're doing? Is it serving what you're doing? Is there adjustments you need to make? And remember, this is about paying attention and making a decision. It's that simple. So again, a couple minutes, have some awareness, have some identification about it, and then make a decision. I'm going to say yes to continuing the conversation. I'm going to stop it. And then again, I'm here at a conference and everyone's wearing our red wristband. And I said, you want to like snap your little self with that wristband. That's part of where I have it. It's just that awareness every day of paying attention to the conversation and keeping it positive, forward thinking, keeping it about yes, which means deep inside your mind, those old conversations that conflict and say no are illegal. You can't have them anymore. They don't serve you. They're not working, and they neutralize. Other homework is how many of the old rules, where are you not changing the rules? So how many old rules are you honoring? Do the rules in your life come from the same source of the conversation? How do you choose to honor them? Is it beneficial? Is it hurtful? Why do you still do what you're doing if it doesn't work? It's the definition of insanity. Let's get some sanity and get it moving. Remember a time in your life when you've made a huge decision. So again, life-changing decisions, would the outcome be different if you were in a different conversation? If the conversations, which then identify your rules. Like I talked a lot about last week, some of you have very strict rules, and your rules aren't yours. I think that's some of the biggest aha moments that I've heard from a lot of our clients that are reading the book and really digging into this work. Is you're realizing how much of your life you live that really isn't on your terms. And you're compromising, you're tolerating, you're avoiding, you're blaming, and you're doing it because your mom did it. You're doing it because your dad did it. You're doing it because of blah, 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 right? And so you really, really, if you haven't done that homework, that reflection, that conversation where you can start making some new decisions, remember your conversations inform your rules, and the rules may not be yours. And so again, it's about making a decision. I'm just saying, from here forward, this is the way that it's going to be. And please make it that simple. Just make it about, yes, that's what I want because I can, and you're going to move ahead. Now, how do you anchor all of that? Because we did, a lot of the first 3 weeks was about assessing, right? It's about uncovering your dreams, uncovering where your no energy came from, what you're supposed to do less of, what do you need to do more of. There's a lot of assessing that went on. Now, how do you anchor that? Because really this is a defining week for us as we move ahead, because I want you to start building confidence and certainty and faith around the things that you're deciding. And as you're deciding to change rules, as you're deciding to have new people in your life that are completely supportive of who you are, you have to have some real decision points around, kind of for the sake of what, I'll say it that way. So we're going to dig in. Chapter 7 is the knowing core, right? It's sourcing solutions through faith. Now, faith is at the core of extreme optimism and energy. So again, the EOE equation is what we're building. It's your extreme optimistic yes energy. Optimistic people don't fall down any less than pessimistic people. They're just quicker to get up. Optimists fall down, get up, and continue forward with the same certainty they had at the beginning of the trajectory. So I want to bring this back and link into a conversation that I had last week with you, which was when you say yes, you move ahead. So it's part of that. You're going to say yes, you're going to move ahead. And to some of you, the move ahead could be a fall down. It could be like, oh, look, that wasn't the outcome that I wanted. But you get back up, you say yes again. The thing that I want you to see is that there's momentum, there's that trajectory, there's a movement when you say yes and have things happen. Many of you see failure as a catastrophe, like it's the most worst thing you could live through. When the truth is, failure to me is nothing more than, God's way of just saying, wake up, you need to be paying attention to more references around you and what's going on. And there's more resources available. I think many of you, there's this receiving part of the conversation that you're just kind of coming into awareness, or I hope that you're coming into awareness about, and really knowing that there's resources around you. You can have what you want, but you have to declare it. as a human body, we are so clear about what it is we don't want. And we can have conversations all night about what's not working. Or boy, to have a rich conversation all night about what you want and how you're going to create it and how you're going to plan, for the team around you. You're not going to dwell on, oh my gosh, I don't know how, and what if this happens, and what if this happens, what if this happens. And if you're one of those people that is, what if this happens, what if this happens, you need to start spending time with people who truly say yes. Because if what if this happens, what if this happens, to me it's the most paralyzing conversation that serves nothing, because the only way you're going to know if something's going to happen, that you can cut out that variable at some level, is find the team member who's already done it, who can give you real knowledge, not dramatic opinion about what's going to happen. So when that happens, then you do this, and when this happens, then you do that. That's why I know, why we can coach you and lead you so well. Because you talk about how many times I've fallen down. It's been amazing. But the people who have helped me get back up are not people who are side by side. It's people that are in front of me that can help me go quicker and have that confidence, that core knowing. Because I have a lot more core knowing and faith, certainty, and confidence in folks who have lived there, have been there, they have done it. They have lived lives and done things that are just remarkable. And they have the outcomes that I want. They have the results that I want. They have the life, they just have all parts of their life in ways that I want, whether it's one piece of it or several pieces of it, but I want to model what they've got. And that is so much more certainty and confidence and risk reduction by doing that than the what if with a bunch of folks who've never done anything in their life. And it's an interesting negative spinning conversation. So I just wanted to loop back, because last week we talked about say yes and it moves you forward. Say yes, it moves you forward. That doesn't mean it's going to come without failure. And that is like $1 trillion tip. You need to write it down and say, just because I say yes doesn't mean there are going to be some bumps in the road. That doesn't mean you say no. That doesn't mean you tuck in. That's what the recession's done to everybody. I would hope that you through this recession aren't going to be, like the Great Depression folks who now hoard and save everything for the sake of what? For what life do you want? So let's go back to faith. Faith is at the core of extreme optimism and energy. And while there might be bite-sized chunks taken from a body armor, optimists always have core confidence. Always. There's a core knowing that keeps them going. Core confidence is certainty. So I'm going to say that again. Your core confidence comes from your certainty, and certainty comes from core knowing, which in turn comes from faith. So as we talk about your core knowing, they're so blended. You almost got to say, well, how do you pull this apart? Some people listen to me talk and say, boy, you talk with such confidence. And, there's even a question, does it come from a place of ego? And those of you who know me know it doesn't. It's not about me, it's about you. And how do I serve you through my core knowing? And my core knowing comes from faith. Now, let's talk about that, because faith is your source of good beliefs that there's pure energy in the world. And so, some of you think that faith is a religion or a creed, and it's about accepting a set of rules, a set of, a regimen that you do. It has guilt involved. Some of you have sourced power through, much more what I call broad interpretation through mediation, the universe, prayer, higher powers. However you define it, I have no judgment on how you define it. What I want you to get to is, how do you have faith? How do you have a core faith of just knowing that there's pure energy in the world? And when you source pure energy, like really source pure energy in the world, there's yes in it. So when I say that I have a core knowing, my core knowing comes, and in the book I've been very disclosive about my spirituality as my highest value and my attachment to God. And when I say I have a core knowing, it's not because I stand and know everything. It's because I have faith in the core knowing that comes from the highest source, God, who's what I call him. You can call him whatever call that power, that universal divine power. Lots of names for it. But I say God. So I'm going to refer to it as that, because that's what it's real for me. And so from that, just knowing that there's this pure energy, that there's this pure intention, this infinite power, this infinite wisdom, this infinite opportunity that's available to everybody. Everybody. When I stand on the stage, no matter who it is, when I stand in a one-on-one coaching session, no matter who it is, I just know, core knowing, through my faith that will always be there, that I will always serve. And that's where I need you to get. So where is your faith? And some of you may say, well, I'm agnostic and I don't believe in any of that. So do you believe that there's a higher energy? Is there something that's bigger than you in the world? And if you live in Lake Tahoe and you live in majestic places, I just don't see how you can say that there isn't. But for those of you who do, then you come to a place, because I want this book because I know it can appeal to every one of you, that you've got to have some faith in yourself. And you've got to have faith in people that have a bigger result than you in your life. So when you can find faith and you know that you know that you know, that's the place to stand. Then from that place of core knowing, you start getting confidence and certainty because you have more evidence. So I'm trying to tie this together. So I'm hoping you're seeing some of this. And Dawn, if you want, jump in with questions at any point, because I know we've sourced questions. There's just so much to this chapter that these chapters are just so essential for you to really, really get it, and really, really understand it. Charisma.
Well, I will ask one right now from Jennifer in North Carolina. She says, I get that my values are my core knowing, but what if my values feel like someone else's values? How do I reconstruct or start over so I know what I am anchored to is really my own? I think that's a great question.
It's a great question, and for those of you that are following along, page 86, somewhere in that, and Don, if you have a hardback there, you can probably clarify, because again, we've got a paperback version in Australia and a hardback in America. But on page 86, it's a system of values. So it's in chapter 7, where I very candidly disclose my top values of spirituality, truth, integrity, clarity, creativity, energy, and health, and grace. And how I would find, and I teach you to find it, is have an amazing values activity that I walk you through. And what I find about going through the values activity, because I had someone else's values too, so I completely understand where many of you might feel like my value system, which does anchor to your faith, and it does, I'm going to say, define or contaminate at some level what's truly yours. And so when you know that you know that you know the values are yours, then the core knowing is just calm. There's just a calm certainty and almost a blessing. It's just like, like I just know. And not like knowing like righteous and not arrogant. There's none of that in this conversation. There's not any of that in it all. Core values are, like I always say, they're deep, almost your DNA. It's a core character of who you are. And when you know what they are, like no kidding, you would fight for your values. My favorite movie that describes what the conversation we're talking about is Braveheart. He dies for his values of freedom. You can look at many companies in the world and many individuals in the world who have done things, for the sake of living in their values deeply. And so here's what I'll offer is those of you who have there's a building, leading, protecting your business, and the vision part, which I'll talk to Ken, who's my right hand in technology, to see if we can pull that values piece away from it. But it's deep into my building, leading, protecting your business, or we'll just give you an amazing opportunity to have, to get that. Because the 4 CDs in the workbook really walk you through, and I was trained by many, many coaches on how to walk you through your values. Because when you get them, you will just know them. And you're going to know them because if anybody tried to take them away from you, you would fight like hell for them. And I'm not saying fight like hell, like cat scratch kind of stuff. You would absolutely take a stand for your life because it is not okay. So, for example, when somebody lies to you or they're completely out of integrity and you have high integrity and self-respect as a value, you can't stand in the toleration of it. I mean, there's just an intolerance when your values are crossed. If you have, health as a very high value and you're in the presence of people who have absolutely, just stunning health behaviors in your eyes, right? There's a lack of tolerance when someone either is offending your values or trying to take them away. So, I mean, it's deep, deep, deep. It's not personality. It's not your belief system. So how you know them is, I'm kind of biased, but I love my values program that I have written about. And my values help you get to your top 6 values, your top values in your life that you're going to live. In a personal and professional life, you have one life. You don't have one life and then another life. There's no on and off switch. We have one switch. It's called on for yes energy and connecting and a core knowing, living the best life you can ever live. So once you know your values, and it may take you a little while, and I can share it took me 2 or 3 months before I truly knew that what my top values were and in order. And the one that was kind of elusive for me that I didn't identify right away and identified over the next few months was creativity. The work I do with all of you, whether it's your yes energy, your business, your tax and entity structure, to me is the most creative, unique work because every one of you is so different. That's why, many people say, aren't you tired of this role? You've been doing this for 16 years. It's like, no, every person is so different. Every situation is so different. To me, every one of your businesses is different. It's fun and it's creative. But for me, I had to have that creativity to be really fulfilled. So where you want to look at the end of the day is how fulfilled are you? Like really, really, at a soul level, how fulfilled are you? And it's really important, as I write about in the book, that having your values is absolutely one of the most essential things you will ever identify. And again, those of you who have kids, get it done early, help them identify. I talk a lot in that chapter about some what I call attempts to siege my confidence and my certainty, and I talk about some lawsuits, and I talk about my some different attacks that I've had, and the attack on the internet and our brand reputation. And I can tell you and promise you, we're still, doesn't take much to go look around and know that we're still, working through that. That doesn't mean I say no. That means I say yes stronger. And I find more team to help do that. And when you work forward through some of, these attacks that you might have, I believe that's where you lean into your values, you lean into your faith, and you lean into that core knowing. And so what's important about that part of your yes energy is knowing that you don't want to come under a defensive energy. Because I think under a defensive energy, which is where a lot of people go, they want to get out and defend and scream and yell. You lose your ability, and I say it in page 91, you lose your ability to be directive and intuitive. Because your intuition, comes very, very directed through your faith and through that core knowing. And without it, I think it gets very contaminated. So one of the things that I know, as I've been talking a lot about yes energy in the book, and especially this chapter, having receiving energy, forgiving energy, but also having protective energy. So many of you, you're going to need to learn to protect your energy from the black energy that's in the world, because there are some just kind of negative, yucky, scuzzy energy that's in the world. And for you to really stay present to your faith, to your intuition, to that core knowing, which then creates the confidence and certainty. Right? You're going to have more confidence and certainty the more evidence you have. But to have that, there's this piece of just dropping and just knowing. I mean, people do amazing things every day. And many people are going to always choose to judge you, undermine you, laugh at the dreams from a young age, tell you can't do it. The biggest contaminant of things that I think occur in our lives are when we go to school. And again, I mentioned a few weeks ago, when you're going into a certain degree program, and that really programs your income opportunity. Because I think that many folks believe that, okay, I'm a teacher, so I'm in this, salary range, and that's all the money that I should ever make in my life. They go into different doctors, and that's the amount of money I should make. I'm going to go into a trades or some sort of a service business, and then that's the money I should make. And then you're anchored to that for the rest of your life versus dreaming big and realizing that the people along your journey, the naysayers, the people who will test, that have tested you or really shaped you, maybe didn't shape you to those core values and your core knowing. They shaped you to what they wanted you to be. So you're going to be tested, in every corner of your faith. You're going to be tested at every corner of your confidence and certainty. And you have to know that part of this journey, interestingly enough, is around your commitment. The more committed you are to having the life you want, not out of selfish, but out of serving. You're going to come forward. You're going to serve the world with this amazing yes energy. People are just going to be attracted to you. So when faith is missing, each challenge or hit to your dreams will cause you to back off because your energy is going to allow it. So again, I want you to think about the challenges you currently have, and based on your conversation and your rules, how did you attract it? Because there is a part of you that energetically attracted some of these challenges. And in the challenges are lessons. And I know we love this, and some people call it karma. I don't use that frequently, but I think there are lessons that our soul needs to learn. And energetically, as you start getting more confidence, more certainty, and it becomes the compass where you really, really get just spot on. Like when you wake up with yes energy and you know what you stand for, you know what you're here to serve, there's just nothing that's going to take you off that trajectory. You're just going to be like a dead-on compass. All sorts of things are going to come at you, and you're going to have the strength and certainty and confidence to stand. Now, while you're living that way, I want you to really think about the people around you, because I think that just in our conversation, I don't know about you, but I can like embody that whole energy. It's just so easy to get there. And I think many of you, you've tasted it a little bit, but you don't taste it every day, and then you don't have it like as a complete way of life. So as you think about the people in your life, are they supporting that energy and holding you to your highest capability? Or there's still a whole bunch that are standing around? Is there an environment around you that's standing around? Is there a way that you're still, bringing forward conversations and rules to your children that are really not theirs either, and you're doing the same thing that was done to you? But where is it still out for you? And this is where, again, week after week after week, I'm going to have you really take a stand. What kind of life do you want? What kind of people do you want in it? And know that as you commit to the life you want and the kind of amazing, just certainty conversations, I'm at a conference and there are just so many amazing people I just can't wait to go back and talk to, because they all have this amazing energy. Many of them have read the book, but they didn't need to read the book. They're already living in the book. To them, it was just a validation of, yeah, I got it. And some have been working with me for, years, some for just months. But I just have to just assure you it's a decision. It's a decision for you to move forward with the certainty and confidence that requires the ability to do that, move on. Whether it's your, personal side of your life or your business side of your life, I want you to integrate those parts of your life, that the energy that's taken to get on that exciting momentum track can be depleted by little grudges, little resentments, things that, that require some forgiveness. And remember, forgiveness of others when they have behaved badly, and right, even the forgiveness of ourselves, right, is going to be required. And when mistakes are made, or we need to take a moment to consider and absorb and learn, and then shake them off and get ready for the next play. Just watch the blame, watch the judgment, watch the what ifs, and just find your way back to almost, Tony Robbins calls it a state, Wayne Dyer, calls it just this amazing, intuition, this amazing inspirational spot. And what I want to assure you is you can have that almost every day of your life and for a lot of the day of your life and a lot of the time. But it's a conditioning program. So again, at the first call, we talked a lot about conditioning and getting in shape. So for many of you, you've got to get in shape. And it's not about just saying, oh yeah, I had my moment of yes energy. I had to think about it. I want you to get yes energy so much about who you are. It's obvious. You turn up in a room and people are like, I want it from the back. Let's talk about your commitment, because cultivating commitment was in chapter 8. Chapter 8 is about that commitment, that faith-based leadership in every situation. Why we say ready, go instead of ready, set, go, certainly allows for the speed that you see us operate at and how we work and what we do. But the faith-based leadership in every situation. So when I say faith-based, many of you say, oh my gosh, that's like some religious thing. It's like, not really. Faith-based is the faith in that core knowing and that certainty, and acting as a leader in all situations. Now, are you going to fall down again? Probably. I know I do. There's day to day where, I fall down. I think the thing that a lot of folks around me are starting to see is I may fall down, but I don't, or I may bring heat, but I don't fall down for long, and I don't stay down. I let it cut deep, and things get cleaned and moved very, very quickly. So why is it so important to have yes as an equation instead of some plan? And again, theory isn't action. I want you to be an amazing action. There's no one size fits all. So what's interesting too about this equation is some of you are way better at some of the parts. And some of you have been working on this personal development journey for a long time, so you totally get the energy, but it's been chaotic or not moving forward. Some of you have the dreams part. Some of you I know are dream coaches, and we're working on that. Some of you are really worked on your conversation. You've done that kind of personal development. So whatever kind of situation that you've been in or done, there's no script that's going to work for everybody. You all need to take on this journey, look at each piece of the equation, and find your own commitment in what it is you're going to do. So, Dawn, is there any questions as we keep moving.
Yeah, there sure are, Laurel. I just have a quick comment here from Terrence in St. Louis, and then we'll get to a question. He says, Laurel, you are right. As I am living more out loud, I am finding many others who are there to support me as I am able to support them too. This is fun. That's cool. But Sarah asks from Chicago, Laurel, I don't really feel fulfilled at all. I want to apply what you are teaching, but it seems I keep coming smack dab up against, in quotes, reality. Wanting to shift my, in quotes, reality. Any ideas?
Get some evidence in your life. And I'd say the first place I'd look even before, producing the evidence is, what are you doing every day? Like literally every day. That is different. So many of you don't realize that your pattern of your day is what continues to get you the reality of your day. If you don't like your reality, then change it. So what I mean by that is I want you to get up an hour earlier. I want you to dig into a chapter or two of my book and commit to a different action. If you don't have a business, right, because you still have a job, I want you to spend part of that hour also thinking about what could you do to produce some extra money. Or if your issues around health, you got to kind of pick one of these areas and go down it. You can't pick all of them and say, I'm going to work a little bit on each area of my life. I need you to pick the one that's the biggest mess, right? Or the biggest struggle, the biggest reality that you don't like, and let's change it. So the fastest way, and for those of you who have been to my 3 days to cash, where we guarantee cash. It's the most amazing reality check for people who say, well, I don't know how to make any money. And then within 3 days, you all turn up and everybody's made money. And so you can't stand in any other core knowing, certainty, or confidence other than the fact that you did it. And now you're a business owner, and now you're an entrepreneur, and now you've served others, and now it's time to really turn on the firepower. So what I find is by shifting one area of your life greatly, right, where you have some evidence, if the health is an issue, then get up every day and go work out. Even if it's taking a walk, it's moving in a way that you haven't moved before. And do it with other people. Eat different foods. See what it shifts in your energy. You've got to pick an area, I think, and you've got to create enormous results because everything else is going to shift around you. So this can't be casual. And I would say that if you're not feeling any shifts by now, we've been doing this for 4 weeks, there's not enough attention to the intention of getting this done. So yes, energy is, it's like a muscle. It's like if you've got a whole atrophied life of things that you don't like and you don't like your reality, the only way that you can move, I believe, in any area of your life is pick one area and let's start a conditioning program. And every day you got to recondition. And really it's hour by hour. Notice how locked in on a pattern you are. Like some of you, and I'm going to get down to some probably hardcore specifics, but some of you live very close to your family. And you talk to your aunts and uncles or siblings or whoever or certain neighbors every day like clockwork, and they do nothing but take energy from you. You just stop that. You aren't available for those conversations. Stop picking up the phone. Stop going to lunch. Stop doing those things. So when I'm talking about getting rigorous with yourself, I'm talking getting rigorous with yourself. There's something that you're doing every day that's causing that same reality to appear. And until you decide, which is really about this next, this whole chapter 8, to really decide to lead. In this whole book, I talk about lead like you've never led. I have led to certain degrees of my company or places in my life, and then, the inevitability of unpredictability, right? The whole section in here, right? The world is uncertain, it's unpredictable, and the best you can do is your best. And good things do happen to bad people. That's just all the reality of it. So your job, through your certainty and confidence, is to start having some clarity about the life you want and only tolerate that. And when I talk about tolerate, I think for some of you this is skimming the surface. And for some of you know how deep I'm talking about this. I'm talking about lead your life like you have never led your life. We're going to talk more about how you do it in your gifts to get that confidence and get that certainty. So the judgment doesn't hurt. I am judged all the time as a woman. Women are the worst to women, right? And I know I'm speaking to some of you women who have a hard time getting that new reality. Women say, well, I always want to be in the support of women. Well, my experience is women are the worst to women. Men could care less about half of what women do. So when you are completely in your confidence and your certainty and you have that commitment of core knowing and you know what you're on track to do, no judgment hurts. Compliments aren't awkward. When people say, well, and they give me some compliment, I'll say, thank you, I know. Not but it's like I know because I see what you see. And it's also, I know because I know the journey you had to get to have what you have. And so I highly acknowledge people who have moved because I know what it took to get there. So there's a claiming personal power that's at a very deep knowledge level, like really, really knowing and having that certainty and leading your life. And sometimes I can promise you it's going to feel like you're leading alone and you're on this walk alone. And you have to know that as you commit, more and more people will see you commit. You've got to know that. And then all of a sudden, a whole new body of community and people are going to be around you to support you. You just haven't seen it yet because really you're straddling. I would say you're straddling this guarantee line. So it's like, life over here isn't quite that bad. That's what some of you were saying. So you look down this, place that I'm talking to you about going, and it seems like you're jumping off a damn cliff, and you're like, I can't go there. Because over here, at least I know the variables. And so I know what I'm in for over here, even though I don't like all of it. I know what I'm in for. And over there's a lot less certainty. Even though a lot of people say it's going to be okay once I jump off this cliff, I feel safer, not more confident, safer. I'm willing to tolerate more standing here in this little place of safety. And I would bet a lot of you have that kind of pattern in life in your life right now. You're the biggest fish in your pond, or things are just, the way that they are, but you, for whatever reason, aren't willing to jump. And I'm going to ask you to take a leap. Know that there's a whole bunch of us waiting for you. But if you don't take it, we're not going to be here convincing. We're not in a convincing game. This game of yes energy isn't convincing you to come on this journey. I'm offering you a path for yes energy, where you never have to look back and have this intoleration and all this, really crap in your life. So done. Any more? Because it's just so rich.
Yep.
It's a good conversation.
Mm-hmm. And, you have struck a chord here because lots of questions coming in about the core values, and sum it up here with a question from Thomas and Diane from Washington, D.C. They write, Laurel, you make things seem so effortless. We saw you recently in Florida, and we were so impressed. With all you do, things must get crazy for you at times. What is the single most important thing you do to keep it all together and stay attached to your core values? Lots of folks looking for insight in how to really do this in their life, Laurel.
And what's interesting is I think all my books rock. I think the financial form, and you know why? It's because they're not all mine. That's what I say about my money books. They rock because they're just so based in my mentors and centuries of just great knowledge that I just put in my funny little way. But this book is such a heart and soul book for me, and I think most people don't realize. So they get to know me at a level that most people, watch me and get intimidated or, say, oh my gosh, how does she do it? And the answers that come forward will probably shock you. So I pray, and I have enormous, enormous faith. I take leaps of faith every day knowing that I'll be caught. And I think that is a really big distinction about what I do. I will take, you talk about a leap. I took a leap to open an office, a huge financial commitment, enormous commitment for my family and my legacy, enormous amount of activity, most of you call work, challenges, obstacles. I was told no 100 times at least, probably going on 1,000, and knowing that I would land. I didn't know how the hell I would land. I just knew that I would. And so there's enormous prayer. In fact, one of my new talks that I give, I talk about praying big. If you believe that there's like a real, divine power in the world, God in the world, then, have a good day is something kind of pathetic to pray for. Let's pray for something big. Like, what are you really here to do? So I think that the way that I pray and the expectation that I pray with and the expectation as my children that I have them live their life by is an enormous place. So I think that's how my soul gets fed every day and gets straight every day and stays on track. And then I run. I'm very physical, so there's a lot of just physicality that as we, talk more, we're going to talk about your gifts. So your libido, again, a lot of people think your libido is the sexual thing. Your libido is your physicality. It's your ability to live deeply at every cell of your body and have it do its job, right, which is to form for your soul, So, again, this is this new conversation, but I've lived it I shouldn't say more privately, but as you got to know me, you got to know how deep this is. The other thing that I would say, because I know you asked for the one thing, so I'm giving you a couple options here, is my team. Like, I wouldn't be able to do even half the things that I do if I didn't have an enormous team to support me. But in the same thing, I would say that I support them. By my vision and things I commit to and take these enormous leaps, it gives opportunities to other people to profit from, to live their life with purpose and value from. I mean, the coaches that work for us, the gentleman on this call, I mean, there's enormous fulfillment in leading. So you don't have to be the only one out doing this. And I think those of you who stand solo, God, it's a lot of work. I watch people who stand solo, like I'm at this conference, and I hear these questions over and over and over by, mostly women. He said, when do you get your first help? I mean, right away. So I would say somewhere between get your life supported, your physicality, and then in my prayer is a huge mission, because I'm not here just to do this for my family. I'm here to do this to serve a lot of other people. So I think somewhere in there you've got to find that thing that's going to get you up every day, and then stop looking around. I think a lot of people look around too much for other people's validation. It's probably why, like I say, one of the highest things, and Don and Ken, you're out there on a recorded line, so you can't speak as much to us, but I would say that my team would say if I had one place to work on my team, it would be to, give them more, public recognition. I think I give my team recognition, because what I say is, like, I don't look for recognition. Some people get up every day and have to have somebody tell them that they're grand to get out of bed and move. I don't need anybody to tell me I'm grand. I got a God that tells me I'm grand by the results. So I think there's just a different anchoring to where your strength is than where a lot of people are conditioned, is to look side by side or look to somebody to validate them or recognize them that they can actually move. No one's going to give you permission. No one's going to give you permission to play a bigger game. No one's going to give you a certificate. I always say that about when people become millionaires, as you get real yes energy on, you're going to get more inspired. Or my hope is that you get more inspired to become a millionaire. And let's get back to that work and get over there too. And then put it all together. It's really a rich life. But, it's funny, as people become millionaires, we kind of have this little chuckle together, because I'll say no one's going to send you a certificate. It's not like it's that big a deal, even though it is a really big deal. But no one sends you a certificate that says, now you're an accredited investor. There's no certificates in this world called experience. One of my new instructors in Australia has the greatest line. He said, I am QBE. And I said, what's that mean? He said, qualified by experience. He said, I have no degree, which is interesting, because so many people around Live Out Loud are all QBEs and not like big degree people, because we just love that entrepreneurial strapping spirit. But it's true. I mean, there's this QBE of just like loving the richness of the creativity of the journey and committing to a yes energy life. And from there, all things will open up. And it's that commitment that I talk about in chapter 8, starving up the stress when the situation reigns supreme. So, I talk a lot about the idea of not having control, and how do you give up control, and how do you can't fix an outcome and manage all risk and probabilities. But what you can do, right, through the energy equation, is truly have faith, yet the outcome of an event isn't what it's supposed to be, although the outcome is, in fact, exactly what it's supposed to be. So there's this faith of knowing when things turn up and don't look like you wanted them to, there's just a reason why it had to turn up and be the way that it is. And there's a surrender in that of knowing it's okay, and then looking at it for what it is versus trying to control and fix it. So there's this committed energy that's also set within a flow of energy. If that makes any sense. And if there's questions around that, Don, I'd love to answer them, because some of this is esoteric for people who, if it feels fluffy for people who haven't lived in the energy world. But our whole body's energy. I mean, just look it up. I mean, I can move energy. You talk about, I just have to share this. It's a new, amazing energy. If this would have happened before the book, I promise I would have put this story in the book. But my daughter is just in this cutest little phase. She's 5. And whenever I leave, she always gets my pajama top. Always. And then she goes and she squirts some of my perfume on it. And she'll keep it with her like a little blanket. And I'll say, Tristan, what are you doing? And she said, well, Mommy, every time I squeeze the shirt, because I know you just had it in it, I know you can feel it. And I could just call you, but I don't have to, because I know that you can just feel me energetically squeeze you. You talk about, now that's like just pure commitment. So that's what I'm talking about. And some you say, well, that's kind of cute. It's cute, but it's true. So there's an energetic that is absolutely present in all of our lives. And many of you just got to come aware of it, start noticing it, instead of disqualifying yourself or the premise of it. I can guarantee you every successful person that has ever guided me has always in this conversation about what's possible, because in this conversation is where your health becomes what it is. It's also where your money becomes what it is. It's where your development, leaps and bounds of your development come to. So I think, where you have to look is where are you leading your life in all the situations, and are you in control of them? Are you controlling them? Or are you there's a flow to it. There's just a flow where you have to let it happen. Not where you're helpless, but where you're leading, and then know the difference. So, Don, let's keep doing some questions since we have such
I just, on behalf of everybody listening, Laurel, I think we owe Thomas and Diana thank you, because that was one really, really rich answer there, and that's going to be worth going back to listening to again. You covered incredible territory there. Thank you for that. Connie in Phoenix writes, some of those who sap my energy, Laurel, I feel I am stuck with, boss, coworkers, etc. How can I buffer myself from being drained by them when I need to stay in my job as a sole provider? Say to Connie.
Connie, first of all, there's two questions in there. The first question I'll answer, which is for all of you who need to protect your energy, and I share it in my book, but I'll go in a little more depth, is where there's negative things in your life. Like I went through lawsuits and my divorce and things that just were extraordinarily draining in a time that was the height of the recession, where my entire company, every teammate on my team, we're looking for, me to lead this thing through. And how do you do it? And how do you adjust or die in that kind of recession that we lived through, especially at the heights of 2009 and 10. And those are when, a lot of this hit, right? Because, you've got to blame somebody for your bad choices. So anyway, my point in protecting yourself is you have two kinds of energy. The protective energy, which doesn't allow other people's, bad energy or negative stuff to get on you. And I always call it, Bob Proctor taught me this very well. He said, take a titanium shower in the morning. So when that water, comes over your body, feel like it's titanium, protecting and holding in this amazing conversation and energy we're having. So a negative and black and, low vibration energy comes at you, it just bounces off because it doesn't even resonate because you've tucked away and you protected. So that's one way to protect. It's like literally visually protect yourself. And like tomorrow I'm taking a very, very large stage and I will do a lot of work in the morning. In fact, I will get up, I'm going to bed extra early. I will get a lot of sleep. I will have the complete focused energy because my job on that stage isn't to show off my ability to be on that stage. My job on that stage tomorrow in 30 little short minutes is to serve. And that is a lot of work to serve an enormous crowd in 30 minutes. So I just share that not to brag about that at all, but just to share, what do you do to take care of your energy and to know what your energy is supposed to be directed to. When you're protecting your energy and directing your energy, they go together. A bigger way that I've learned now through the divorce and lawsuits and all that kind of blah, 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 is that being in conversations with lawyers and negative things and all that reaction was better served just to hire somebody. So someone on my staff took all the front load of that. Because what I needed to do is stay in a creative energy. So I think for every one of you, whether you're going to that job, whether you have your own business, whatever you're doing, you've got to get in that state of what am I doing every day? And if my job was to be that creative force inside, the company in my life, the last thing I needed to do was have pings all day long of you got to answer that legal letter, you got to answer that memo, you got to talk to them, you got to blah, 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 blah. I just said, you know what? I want you to handle all of it. I don't even want to know about it. Once a week, once a month would be preferable. I'll meet and I'll give you some answers and we'll strategize around it, but I'm not dealing with it every day. So some of you say, well, I don't have the money to do that. Yes, you do. See, what you don't know, and what's your name when I ask that question? Because I'm going to answer now the second part of your question, which is the truth that you're not really living it. What's the one?
Connie in Phoenix. Yep. How can I buffer myself and then stay in the job as a sole provider?
Well, because I'm a sole provider too, and I don't just sole provide for 2 children. I sold, it's funny when, and Don, you're in sales with me, right? When people come in and say, well, you don't understand, it's so hard to work for 100% commission. I said, my whole life's been 100% commission.
Yep.
My whole life's been 100% commission. So what I would say, Connie, is that you do have the gifts and talents, and you don't have to stay in that job. And if it's that miserable, you need to get more motivated to find a way to take your gifts and talents and create even more service in an entrepreneurial venture and find your way out of that job. Love to help you quit that job. Love to. One of my favorite celebrating things to do is give your soul back freedom from that prison called your job that you don't want. Now, some of you have a prison called a job, and you actually kind of like the prison for a little while, or you have some reason to stay. So I don't have any judgment about it. I kind of tease that I call it a prison. But the truth is, some of you, if it's that bad, and sole provider is just a circumstance. I'm a sole provider, so whatever. And I don't say that out of disrespect. You can't use that as a story. You've got to get clearer about what are your gifts, what are your strengths, what are your talents. How do you live in that yes energy, and really, how do you start making some money? Because as you start making money, then you're going to start seeing that evidence and that confidence. You're going to have experience. And then you're going to look back, just like I look back at my employee days and say, oh my God, I was playing such a small game. So I would bet, Connie, there's a lot, and many of you on the call that are in that situation. Remember, you're only in that situation because you got yourself there. You can find your way right back out of it. And I would bet you're going to find your way back out. You know, some of your homework, you know, over the next few, you know, especially this week, and it's going to go on for a while, is to say, you know, where are you really leading your life? And a year from now, 2 years from now, you know, what kind of money could you make? I mean, there's not enough days in the year that I could, you know, not thank Bob Proctor, Keith Cunningham, Dr. Moyne. I mean, some of the most amazing, you know, coaches and mentors who just absolutely stood in intolerance of some of my simple baby decisions because I was so chicken to quit my job. And they said, you want your annual salary to be a monthly salary, to be a daily salary, then quit and find a way to make the money and live in your passion. And I'd say live in your passion that serves other people, and you're going to find that path, Connie. So be a sole provider. That's just a title. So that has to go away. So now, how do you, so protect yourself every day from the energy. Step one. And number two, take all that other creative energy. Stop doing lunches with people, and you'll be ostracized for that. But you know what? You're on a journey right now. You're on a mission to find a new path. And you got to get intentional about what that is. Again, I'm not going to, you know, I promise not to do a lot of marketing and sales, but you're the kind of people that when you go to my 3-day guaranteed to make money, then you'll go like, all right, I see the path, I can do it, and you'll be out of there in 120 days.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
You really will.
Samantha from Cincinnati, Laurel, she writes, Laurel, you say ready, go instead of ready, set, go. I keep getting hung up on not being in action because I don't have every little thing figured out. For those of us who have a need to, in quotes, know before we leap, how can you help us?
You just have to stop. So I'm going to say you have to stop and get honest with yourself. You don't know how to know all the things. I don't know how to do all the things that I say yes to. But what I have faith in is that somebody knows. So instead of spending my time roaming around, figuring out how to do the thing, I find who knows how to do the thing. So I would say redirect your energy. Redirect your attention to find the person who's an excellent expert and passionate and amazing at the thing that you absolutely don't know how to do. And you could spend the next 3 years of your life figuring out how to do, and you still aren't any good at it. And you're still going to be in question because you're not validated. So I don't spend any time. I'll say yes to stuff that I have no idea how to get done. And I am remarkably stunned. I'll share what's going on right now. We thought for sure we hit the Australian bestseller list. Well, we found out yesterday that the information we were given by the teams that have gone before us was complete BS, complete rubbish, as they would say. And it feels like we're back at the starting point. So we're having to regroup around how we're going to do it, but it's a yes still. I'm going to get there. And I don't know how we're going to get there, but I keep sourcing to people about who knows how to get there. And I think I found some, like 2 new women who are amazing and are so committed to the cause of getting Yes Energy a bestseller. They're now going to help. So, you know, some people would just stop and say, oh my gosh, it was a complete failure. Oh my gosh, we didn't know how to do it. I don't know how to do half the stuff. So you can sit in that, like, comfort that I have accomplished an enormous amount of my life. Very blessed to have accomplished it. But it's not because I did it. It's because I had the guts to, like, play the biggest vision. But then I spent my time finding who knows how to get stuff done, not figuring out how to get it done. And I can tell you that sounds like such a small distinction, and it is a world distinction that once you get it, you'll say yes to so much stuff knowing somebody will always come and help you. Now, if you're kind of a jerk and you lie to people and you have bad, you know, integrity and you're not authentic, no one's ever going to come on your team. So you might as well just give up the game and, you know, stay stuck. But you play clean with people even if you're along your journey and you make a bunch of mistakes. You know, people like could have just quit the team and said, Laurel, you promised we'd be in a blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, I did. And we will. It's just taking a little longer on the journey. You know, we've got to take a few more wines in the road. So just notice the conversation, the attitude, It's not about defeat. It's about, oh, interesting and curious. And yeah, it's a little disappointing. So I wouldn't say that I don't have disappointing days and disappointing moments, but it's about, let's take this path. Let's take this path and find the people who know how to take the path. And I want to point you to page 98. It's non-negotiable necessity of commitment and leadership. And I think that's where some of you are too negotiable. Like when you say it's non-negotiable, I mean, what does that really mean? When you say non-negotiable, right, that means it is at all costs, at every move of your body, you are going to have the life you want, like at all costs. So that may mean you're going to live somewhere else. That may mean you're going to quit your job and be scared to death. I mean, I don't know how many people quit their job and call me and tell me how sick they got. And I say, yep, that's okay. It's part of the process. You're detoxing. So circumstances usually dictate your choices. And then what happens is your whole life is a choice around your circumstances of what's happened versus you say, I'm no longer going to tolerate that. And you say, I want that life. And even if you have the wildest dreams how you're going to get it done, your whole focus and commitment becomes on having that, whether it's that for your children, it's that for you, but it's moving that part of your life ahead. In page 100, I go further into that purpose, narrative, values, and, really creating a mission and a vision for yourself. And as you keep moving through commitment, why most people don't do it, and I mentioned it before, but here it is in the book, it's the sheepology, because most people don't want to lead. It's interesting, I have a new coach and mentor, and we were talking about retention and just some of the folks. I mean, I think some of you would be stunned at the amount of people who have fully paid and bought to be mentored and coached at a very high level with me or someone in our company and have never fulfilled it. And I think it's so interesting because when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Well, that's not really true. When the going gets tough, a lot of people slow down and disqualify themselves. So a new word, you won't find it much in the book, but the more that I keep talking about yes energy and the depth of the work we're doing is watch that conversation and that sheepology, of disqualifying yourself, where you just follow others because that's what others do. People who are extremely successful don't follow others. They're actually the trailblazers. They're the ones that the sheep follow. So where I think is a great homework assignment is where are you being the sheep versus being the leader and being the one who's really setting the pace and the course and heading to the new pastures. Because the innovators are the ones that are successful. The innovators are the ones who say yes and know that there's a whole bunch of people willing to get on your team. And it's up to you to start deciding that. But the sheepology chapter, I mean, it's just, some of my dearest friends and I laugh at that all the time because there's so many people. And I think when you start taking this yes energy journey, I think many of you will be in this conversation that I'm in with you. And I want to caution you to not get frustrated, get compassionate, because there's a long journey for a lot of people who've had, just tough circumstances. Just you don't have to live by them. So the homework really, as we're moving through this is, how are you leading? What do you want? And it's really about moving forward now. We're not going to keep evaluating and diving deep that direction. We're going to move forward. So in chapter 9, because your homework will be chapter 7, 8, 9, it's to dust off your dreams. It's that driving force of desire. What do you want? And remember how to think big, pray big. Your energy and your evidence and your experience is going to create so much in your life. There's different kinds of energies, and I talk a lot about that. We're going to talk more about it in chapter 10 in the next week as we get into it. But consistent evidence, I say in here, what I do works not only for me, but for thousands of people in the community, wealth builders. Trouble will always be inevitable. What matters is how we deal with the obstacles thrown in our path. So finding success patterns, let's just talk about that. What's the success pattern of your life? And I think as you think about your dreams, and I want to think down to almost a daily level, excuse me, what are some success patterns in your life? What are some things that you can set up that legacy to be that you can really lean into? So as I set that, Don, before we move into this Dust Off Your Dreams chapter, I just want to check in and see where we are in questions.
Thank you, Laurel. Here's a great, it's really a comment, but you may want to add to it, Laurel, because it's a great one from Dave in Orlando. He says, Laurel, I love what you are teaching about watching out for the blame game. I had fallen into the rut of being right about what everyone else was doing wrong, and as I stop needing to blame others, it frees me up for so much more. Thank you, writes Dave. So that's great.
Yeah, high five on that. And, it's an easy place to hang out because then you don't have to, look at yourself. And it's actually consuming and exhausting, right, to find the negative, because then what that means is you're in a no energy pattern of looking at other people and what's not working. It's just not worth any time, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm. Here's a great question from Laura in San Francisco. I have been listening much more to my own intuition. How do you use intuition on a daily basis in leading your own life and businesses? Do you think about it? Do you tune into it? Or does it just come into your awareness? That's a very specific question about the way intuition plays the role in your life, Laurel.
Well, you lead right into chapter 9. You're like right at dead spot on there, girlfriend. So I talk about the different energy. There's directive energy, there's intuitive energy, there's very presence and engagement and awareness energy, and there's electric energy. And so anyone who's around me very long knows that I live completely intuitive. So what my heart and soul has been guided by faith to do is right. So for those of you who know what intuition really is, it's a pure directed energy source. There's no interference, and it comes somewhere deep into your body. And it's a physical feeling that you can feel in your intuition. And here's how you know that you're off of your intuition, is you wake up at night, you are anxious, you're panicked, you're spinning, you can't get focused, you got to take meds. And I have no judgment about people who take meds because they need to take meds, but I think a lot of people who take meds are trying to numb their body so they don't have to feel. And intuition requires a deep cellular feeling of just letting things come. So how do I live it? Every minute. It is like, in fact, in my big table, my mentoring program, I teach it as one of the highest leadership skills of wealth creators. And here's why. If you and I were doing a deal together, and your team and my team, we've all done due diligence. It works for you, it works for me. It's like a total win-win. We're going to get great returns, blah, blah, blah. We are so clear on our roles. At the end of the day, I'm about to sign a contract to do a joint venture or an entity or some business or something with you. What's the last thing you do before you put your handwriting on that paper, or should be? It's that intuitive gut check. It's like, is this the right thing to do? And now intuition, and I'm going to talk a little bit about money here, but I know it relates to other areas of your life, but since I teach money, I'm going to use that application. Where I find intuition can get really, really tangled up is in a space of not knowing. So many people don't know financial formulas. They don't know how to make money. And so fear can creep in, right? Losing weight, quit smoking. Any sort of health behavior can creep in. So it can creep in at any behavior change. You can really say it that way. And so when it creeps in on a behavior change because you're fearful or you don't know, it can tangle up your intuition. So I think the first thing to start paying attention to as a homework around that for many of you is what just feels right. There's just this knowing, right? It goes back to that core knowing a couple chapters ago. That's your intuition. If it's something you need to learn or have available to learn and you just don't know, you've got to have some discernment about that, or this can get totally tangled up. You'll shut off your intuition. You'll shut off any listening to it. And honestly, if you read Jack Welch's book, Jim Collins' book, you read some of the best, Joseph Grenny's work, Stedman Graham's work just came out with a new book, some of the greatest work on the planet, every one of us talks about intuition. Every one of us is led by that guiding force. Now, a different kind of energy I'm going to speak about, so thank you for that question, is directive energy. So that's where you know that you know that you know, and you get in charge of it. And you're the one that's guiding those that are like following behind and that need to know. And then there's a present energy, which has absolute unattachment. And I think that's that's the coaching space I get into. I get very intuitive, but I'm not directing because I'm not in charge of their business, but I'm very present to what they need. In a sales process, our sales process that we teach, we're very present to what people need. And we don't believe we sell them, we serve them. And there's just a whole different energy about being present versus being directive versus being intuitive. And then the last one, which is just hot, 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 is electric energy. And everyone has it. If you've ever fallen in love before or walked into a room and just kind of lit up the room, or somebody did, you know that electric energy. You know, kids can have that electric energy. So just your homework will be to start paying attention that there's different kinds of energy, and how does that energy serve the larger legacy and thing you want to do in the world. Because again, this is dusting off your dreams. As you dust off your dreams, you're going to also dust off these energy sources you've been having, but you've kind of confined them. Energy leads to consistent evidence, which confirms that your commitment to faith and your consistency around that. Just you'll be surprised. I'm curious on if if folks are posting anything about that right now that have been turned on to this, and really start noticing as you pay attention to it, you're leading and manifesting all the time. And I'm going to come back because we're going to end this call with your routine of success, because that's really critical. I'll share mine, and then you got to create one.
Here's a question from Jerome in Tacoma, Washington. Laurel, you write and speak of leading our own lives. I don't have your track record in terms of business success. How can I be certain, in quotes, when I don't know or have not yet gotten the experience under my belt? So he's looking for how he can anchor his being to certainty when he doesn't have the experience.
That's where mentors, coaches, and a community of other successful people come in. And I'm not doing that because I need to sell you on coaching or a big table or anything, but I can tell you the minute that I got straight about that. So I anchored to other people's success. I mean, look at my track record. When I didn't really have a track record, I was leaving Chevron. I was like Connie, quitting my job, scared to pieces, right? And then next big moment of being scared to pieces, I was going to be a single mom because, you didn't want to be a dad and all that timing. So before I had a lot of that track record, those were the years from 1996 to 2001, is I sold somebody else's stuff. I anchored onto Kiyosaki's success and the Rich Dad Poor Dad brand, and I sold that. Excuse me, I was a master distributor. And what I did in that, not knowing what I was doing, I was very led to do it, is I surrounded myself with an amazing community of people that then just expected this amazing success out of me. So I think that, again, the people in your environment, you've got to spend time with the people who have the track record. And so, I always excuse me, I always say that to many of you, is sell other people's stuff. If you don't have stuff, anchor into other people's success. It's okay to do that. That's why I'm doing Yes Energy Coaching, because I know that I'm going to show many of you how to run a business for the first time, like really run a business. We're going to do the website for you because you don't know how to do it the way it needs to be done. We're going to give you a salesperson because we know how to sell and you may not know how yet. And then over time, you're going to take those skills and all that experience and all that evidence and then take it on your own. You don't have to be a Yes Energy coach for the rest of your life, but use it like I used Robert Kiyosaki. For 5 years, I learned how to run this kind of a company, which is why I had such a jump start. I knew every nook and cranny of how to do what we're doing. And I probably stayed around a little too long for where I was going and what I knew I was going to do, but I can tell you I'd never do it back. So I think I know the answer for all of you in that jumpstart move is surround yourself. And if you don't feel like you have something perfect to sell somebody else's stuff. Lean into a co-branded experience and let it, really happen. It's really a lot of the reason why I'm doing this, because I want to show you that running a company to $250,000 is not as difficult as all of you think. You just don't know how to do it. And once you know how to do it, you'll be like, oh, you talk about non-negotiable. All the stuff will line up and you'll say, oh, now I get it. So we're at the top of the hour, aren't we? How can the time go so fast?
Well, we're about a quarter till. I have a really great question here from Tori in Santa Barbara. Can I put that in front of you?
Yep.
Laurel, thank you for your words in your book about legacy, right where you are here. You got me unstuck when I started thinking about how I will be remembered. Do you use visualization heavily when you do this legacy thinking for your own life?
Absolutely. And I think you have to really get in the place of contribution. Obviously there's a legacy to your family and to your children, but there's a bigger legacy. Like when people think about Jim Rohn, who's now passed, what Jim Rohn was about, what Napoleon Hill was about. And so there's a legacy in the circle that you're going to leave behind. and what's that going to be? And mine's going to be changing this conversation about money and taking, having enormous courage to be a single mom in this space, what most people won't stand, and be the sole provider. So, it's not sole provider. It's about a team of people that are on a mission together. So I think you use a lot of manifesting, creating, and thinking, but I also caution some of you get totally stuck on it and don't want to move forward on your daily action until your legacy is outlined. Your legacy will come to fruition. It will show itself to you. And until you're truly committed in the right direction, I actually don't think it's going to show itself into the light that it's supposed to. I know it sounds stunning for some of you, but I can promise you, if I didn't even have an idea of the magnitude of legacy that's going to happen on the planet in, 11 years ago when I started Live Out Loud. And so what will also happen is your legacy will expand just like everything else in your life. Once you start moving toward it with a level of commitment, it'll start moving and moving. Now, since we are I could just keep going forever tonight. It's a longer call. But I do want to leave you with success principles and success behaviors, because many of the sequencing things we're talking about as you move into chapters, 10, 11, 12, we've got to talk. I might break that down into a few calls, but we've got to talk about what you do every day. So I get up every day, and even when I'm laying in bed, and even in the middle of the night, my kids can, jump in bed. I mean, wherever. If I'm in a hotel, wherever I am, I'm out camping, wherever I am. In the morning when my brain turns on and my spirit turns on, I start thinking and praying. I don't go into this panic, oh my gosh, what I got to do all day first. It's what's the intention? How do I want to feel? How do I want to be? How do I want to serve? Right? It's that kind of that's an intention, heartfelt space. And then you can move to your head about, okay, then what's the intention of what I really got to get done? What's my revenue producing activities? What are the things I need to do? And have that time. Like really spend that time. Not get up to a chaotic alarm, be, exhausted. If you need sleep, sleep. If you don't need sleep, then don't. But don't whine about it either way. Just handle, we're adults. That part of your life needs to get handled. And then I spend a lot of time with my kids in the morning, at breakfast, getting them ready for the day, helping them set their intentions, training them to do that. My favorite time, honestly, is I drive them to school because we get to chat, get them all set. And then I go to the gym. So I always say, prayer, family, and health is how I start my day. And then I go about my day, have that get created. And then at the end of the day, we end with a gratitude journal. And I think I might have mentioned this actually, and I'm saying it on another call, but I just got to re-anchor it because some of you have not set this pattern. The minute you set this pattern, you'll start seeing things shift. I can promise you, things will start shifting. So I end with a gratitude journal and ask, Logan and Tristan, what'd you learn today and what are you grateful for? And they can't say the same thing every day. And just get in that pattern. If it's just you, it might be with you and some of your friends, you end your day like that. But just really start shifting it. And I know I'm asking you to have amazing courage. Some of you say, oh my gosh, I'm going to say that out loud to people who think I'm weird. Well, then they're weird. So if you can't be in that conversation, can't be in that space, that's where you got to start looking to a new community. So lots of homework. Ken has been summarizing our homework, putting it up on the link site. So findyouryesenergy.com will be your homework again. And those of you that are coaches, we are building PowerPoints around all this. You don't worry, because you know that I'm leaving this from my heart and soul and not a script. As I'm reading it from the book. Oh, by the way, my audiobook came out today. Got to announce that. So my audiobook is out. You can get it at Audible. You can get it at Hay House. You can get it on Amazon. But my audiobook is out. So if you don't like to read, you can now listen. And this is about dreams, your faith, confidence and certainty, a big week ahead of us, and then we're going to move into your gifts, which will be very, very fun. And please share some of your dreams. Maybe we'll do a Facebook and fun competition around who's posting the coolest dreams and having other people comment on them. So stay tuned. We're going to make some new stuff up. Don, is there anything we need to do to end the call?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think this has been a remarkably rich call. I would just encourage everybody when the recording comes out, you may want to go back through this. There was some really amazing content. So thank you so much, Laurel. I know your calendar is filled, and it's amazing what you do, and we just all appreciate you.
Thank you, and I'll be well, and we'll be back in touch.